Hey everyone, Falcha Arash. Welcome back to 365 Days of Irish Tenor Banjo Tunes. Today is day 28, so this has been 4 weeks so far of this. I haven't missed a day, been doing pretty good. For those of you who might be just picking this one up for the first time, this is my New Year's resolution. Pick up the banjo at least once a day and try and learn a new tune. It's more as a way to motivate me, provide some accountability, than it is to provide any sort of tutorial, but as I've been going along, I've added a couple little tips and things like that. Today, though, we're going to do something completely and totally different. So we're still going to play a tune. But if you've spent any time at all on YouTube, and you must have checking out banjo videos if you've stumbled across this, because I'm a small creator. I don't even like the word. You've definitely seen Enda Scahill. So Enda is an amazing banjo player, been playing for many, many years. I discovered him on YouTube first when I was first trying to learn banjo. And like I said, I'm a beginner. I've only been playing for maybe around a year, and mostly over kind of like I play in the summer for like a couple months each summer. I play when it's the off time. And I found Enda on YouTube, and then I checked him out on Apple Music. He's got a group called We Banjo 3, which is pretty amazing, a little more modern. Anyways, he's besides his YouTube videos, which are great, they don't go into super depth on a lot of things, on learning tunes, but he has a Patreon page. And so what I thought we would do today is give a review of that, explain how it works, and then we will try or I will, I always say I will try and learn a tune from his Patreon page. So he's got a free tune on there called Banish Misfortune. So we're going to check it all out online, and then I will spend some time practicing the tune, one of the versions that he shows a lesson for, and we'll also kind of give a review and rating of his Patreon site. So if you've ever been interested in checking, maybe doing Enda's Patreon and just either didn't want to sign up or just don't understand how it works, this video is probably for you. Okay, so like I was saying, Enda, of course, is on YouTube. And if you spend any time checking out banjo videos on YouTube, you've probably seen his stuff. So he's got a few different things. He's got his Inside the Banjo verse, which is kind of like interviews with well-known players, that sort of thing. And then he's got a bunch of how-tos. Sometimes they're just short little bits on techniques. Sometimes it's sort of a full song. But like I was saying, he doesn't get super into depth on most of these videos. So what he does have is a Patreon page. You can see here, there's the link to it. Or you can also just Google Enda Scahill Patreon and you'll come up with it, I'm sure. So let's take a look at that, and I'll explain a bit of why it took me forever to kind of sign up to it. So when you first go to it, if you're not signed in, so this is what it looks like when you're logged in as the free level membership, which is what I'm at, just the free level membership. When you go to it and you look at the upgrade options, and this is what I found very confusing, and I still don't know what you get because I'm not a member. So you've got the Banjo Beginner's Guide, which is no longer available. It's sold out. And you get one tune a month. Then there is the Beginner's Guide Upgrade, and it tells everything you get with it. So you get his tune of the month, which is a progressive involved lesson, and I'll go through some of the lessons. He uses a platform called Soundslice. So this is the part that doesn't make a lot of sense to me, this right here on the bottom. 2 fully transcribed tunes per month, tune of the month poll, and 1 fully transcribed tune per month. I don't quite get what he means by that. Does that mean that I only have access to 2 per month and I have to pick them? Or does that mean by supporting him, he's going to do 2 tunes and I will get access to the full list? It's not clear. So we're going to go through that. The other levels, Banjo Lover level, and you can see here he gives you a little bit more. So in here you get access to the Banjo Discord server. So Discord is a discussion platform. 2 fully transcribed tunes per month, 1 fully transcribed tune per month, and Tune of the Month poll. So you're just getting one step up. You're getting the access to the Banjo Discord. And then we've got the VIP, which is cool because you would get things like live Zoom chat, Q&A sessions, the transcribed tunes, the Discord server, Tune of the Month, and to also access to is 2 ebooks, which is kind of cool, courses on Soundslice. And then the full meal deal, you also get monthly feedback and analysis video sharing. That's probably the coolest thing that you can get, but as you can see here, it's also sold out, so he obviously can't be handling any more sort of feedback sessions. Now, I mean, it's up to you to decide value or not value, whatever. But if I was to look at these and think of value, so if I was to go out and take a banjo lesson with a private teacher, number one, I can't access that in my town. There's nobody in my town who plays or teaches Irish tenor banjo. It's a town of like 5,000 people. It's just can't find it. If I was to go out, like when I used to go and take a little bit guitar lessons, they would run me somewhere in the neighborhood of $40 an hour, and that was a long time ago. I know most of the mentors that we bring in for fiddlers are making charge more in the neighborhood of $60 or $80 an hour, things like that, depending for private lessons, not for our fiddler stuff. So if you were to think of it that way, and you're gonna get one bit of feedback per month at $50, it's kind of like the price of a private teacher for one lesson. Quite reasonable. If you look at these other ones, the beginner's guide upgrade, $14.50 a month, and you're getting 2 transcribed tunes. That's pretty decent once I show you the platform he's using and how he goes about teaching them. And then the other ones, if you want the Discord server, I don't know if that's worth it or not. There's lots of other services out there where you can discuss things. This live Zoom chat and Q&A sessions might be kind of a cool, useful thing, though. Whether it's worth that, I'm not sure, but that's up to you to decide. Okay, so that's what it looks like when you first join. So I found that confusing. What am I exactly going to get if I sign up and pay money? I happened to be on this the other day, and when I was on it, it said there was a pop-up on the screen. I hate those normally, but it said free lesson. Here's your access to a free lesson, which was super cool. My internet's being very slow today. Okay, so going back to here to the main, this is the Patreon platform. So this is the platform he uses in order to administer the dollars and cents of things. And it also allows him to do posts. So on here you get a good instruction for use. This isn't something I got until I signed up for the free level, if I remember correctly. So I recommend doing that. You can sign up to be a Patreon member and be a member of his Patreon page for free. You just don't get access to the courses. So this is great. Explains a bunch of different things. You've got the full tune list. So if we go to that, I'll just got it open on a different tab. This is the full list of everything he's got. So looks like he started back in February 2022. A couple of posts per month, a couple of videos per month. So 73. There's a little count even. So that's pretty cool. Reasonable amount of stuff. Has links to the YouTube page, but it also has links to the Patreon page, and that's where you get click into the Soundslice, and it explains it in more detail. Also has, you'll notice on here, where do I start? So he gives you suggested learning paths. So beginner. I know a couple of these songs. I guess depending how he teaches them, I wouldn't necessarily call them beginner, and we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go through. So on here it does say he's got this what's it all about, and it sort of explains a little bit. So he's trying to produce at least 3 versions of a tune once per month, but it still doesn't explain what you get for this 2 transcribed tunes per month. So it also gives you, links to Zoom for these Q&As, right, that he does. Other lessons that might be coming up, you can get notifications in your email, or if you regularly log into Patreon. Okay, so that's the Patreon part of things. So let's go check out the platform that he uses to teach lessons is called Soundslice, which is kind of a neat thing. So I guess in a way we're doing a bit of a review of Soundslice as well. So like I was saying, I don't think he's going to mind me sharing this because it's a free lesson anyways that he offers up to people. So I don't think I'm giving away any trade secrets. So you'll see this free lesson is on Banish Misfortune, but when I go into it, you can see there is a whole bunch of different variations and level of complexity of the same thing. So we start with a slow, simple tune, then he's got a separate one that focuses more on the swing, adds in some ornamentation, talks about chords, there's slides and hammer-ons, so there's quite a bit there. And then finally he plays the full version, which is his version where he's incorporated a number of these different things. So this song is also in our Banjo Buddy book that we've been using for this whole series, but it's different. Each one of these is actually different because he's focusing on different things. So let's just show you what the Soundslice platform looks like. So this first version we're going to check out, called Slow Simple Tune, is just going to use it to explain how all the different things you've got on Soundslice. So we've got the video of him playing up top here, broken down into the 3 different screens, which you usually don't get on his YouTube videos. So we've got a close-up of the picking hand, the fretting hand, and then just an overall. Within that, I can change how the video is set up on the screen. So I can have it to the side with the notation on the other side. I can set it up. Well, you can flip the video. I don't know why you would want to do that. Maybe your banjo's strung up left hand. You can go to a full screen of the video, and for some reason when we do that, we get this weird just sound file on the bottom. Obviously not very useful. You can change it to fretboard on the bottom instead. And then you can also set the video quality, and that might be useful if your internet maybe isn't the best, or you're running off your phone or something like that. Okay, so we're going to go back to just top and bottom, and we'll go through some of the other features in Soundslice. So first of all, if I was to press play, we're going to get this orange bar that sort of moves along and tells you where you're at, highlights the note and the tab. On the bottom here, I've got my control for pause, play. I've also got this really great tempo feature, so we can turn around and speed that up. He's playing this one slow for beginners. You can also, of course, as a beginner, turn around and crank that down. Now, the nice thing about this feature is it doesn't really change the pitch of the note too much. It kind of gets this weird echoey sound when you really slow it down, but the pitch is more or less the same, so it's a great tool. So we'll move it back to 100%. The other thing you can do, for whatever reason, you can change it to synth, so it plays this weird piano version of things. But the other thing you can do, which is probably very useful, is you can loop things. So when you press the loop button there, it isolates a section, okay? And then all you need to do is drag and drop, or not just drag that, okay? And then when I hit play now, I'm going to get... and it's going to go back to that section. Now, the type of scrolling we have this on per line, it's a little annoying the way it jumps back and forth, but we'll get into that in a second. As I was mentioning earlier, if you wanted to, you can view the fretboard. I'm not sure why you would find this helpful, but basically you've got the notes highlighted on here, your open strings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets. and you can see the highlight as he plays the tune. A few other cool tools, a metronome, so you can click it on with your... There's a weird skipping, that's just my computer is slow at processing. You can change whether it's on every beat or only on the downbeats. You can't change the tune, the sound of it. That would be a nice feature. But anyways, it's there if you want it. You can have a keyboard across the bottom as it's playing if your brain maybe thinks more in a piano's frame of things. And then this 3 dots here covers off all the other settings. And this is where it gets really interesting and you can do all kinds of cool things. You can adjust the zoom level and you can adjust the type of scrolling. So right now it's set on scrollable. And scrollable means, so like let's just put it here towards the end of this bar and I'm going to hit play and watch what happens when we get the end of that bar. So there's kind of a stuttery, weird jump where the next line comes up to the top. I find that distracting and hard to follow. However, you can put it on paged instead. So right now I have it on paged and auto. I have enough space, so it puts it 2 pages, one on either side, and this will just follow through and it won't scroll. If I put it on 1 page, now when I get to the end of a page, just give it a second here, and it'll flip to the top of a new page and bring us back up to the top, but then it just keeps following down. That I find a little easier to follow. You can also within here adjust your stave width. Personally, I find it easier if there are 4 measures per line, 4 bars per line, but whatever, you can adjust that, play around with it. See if we can get back to the main look. Boom, there we go. Okay, also within here you have the way it looks, the appearance. So if, for example, let's say you were just using the tab and you don't read musical notes and you don't want to see them, you can hide the notation. Now I just get a page of tab, although of course that's hard to follow. What notes am I playing, not playing? Sorry, like which eighth notes, quarters. So you can add stems to your tab if you want. You can have straight notes. You can also add pitch names, so ABCs, right? You can have just ABCs if you want. Can you? Oh, you can't. How strange. Anyways, you can have the full meal deal like that if you would like it. You can transpose the tune. So right now it's in the key of G. Let's say you wanted to make it the key of D. You can see here, just as I move that slider, it's dynamically changed all of the notes, all of the tab and everything. We're now in the key of D. You can change the way the playhead looks. I don't know why you would bother with that, but you can. So from a straight line to a wider rectangle, a smaller rectangle, you can change the color. This is also probably one of the really useful features of this, and I think it's probably worth using this platform just for this, is the print feature. So if I hit print, it's going to generate me a page, a print ready version of the page I was just looking at. So whether I've put ABCs, tab, whatever. So boom, there we go. Now you can see we've generated a page just how we had it set up, which is very cool if you would like to practice offline, things like that. Or maybe you would find it easier to read by not following along with this, watch the screen full size or something along those lines. Yeah, so that's the Soundslice platform. So pretty cool. The only thing I don't like about it so far is on this slow, simple tune, if I go to watch or go to play, there's no sort of pause or count in. So I click play, and by the time it gets going and then I pick up my banjo and I'm ready to go, I'm into bar 2. So you have to kind of click go and then get back to your spot. You're always going to miss that first little bit. So that I find a little annoying. If Enda happens to be watching this, there would be a great way to fix that, and I'll show you that in a second. So on the sidebar here, we've got our different components of this lesson. If I was to go to the Focus on Swing lesson, for example, so the Focus on Swing lesson has an intro video. This gives me the opportunity to press play, pick up my banjo, get ready to go before the song starts playing. And obviously it gives him an opportunity to introduce what he's focusing on.
Here's a version to play along with, and it's about that pulse. I'm going to leave out a lot of the ornamentation and the chords and the more complicated things just to help build on the jig rhythm.
Okay, a little fast for me, but obviously I can slow it down with the tempo. But that is giving you a particular focus for you to focus your practice, which is cool that he's basically giving you some suggestions of here are some things you can do. Ornamentation with simple triplets. So we're working on single note triplets. Again, intro video explains how to use triplet, how to do it. This I find very useful as a beginner because when I look at a tune in the Banjo Buddy book, it doesn't have any sort of ornamentation. And to be quite honest, I have no idea where to add it in. So this will start to give me a bit of a repertoire in my brain where these things sound good, where they belong. Another one on 3-note triplets. So here's where we're going through 3 different notes within the triplet. Does some explaining on that as well. There's a whole bunch of other different things, varying tone and feel, slides, hammer-ons. And then, of course, we get the full version where he takes all the components that he would like to do his own presentation and interpretation of the song, which is well beyond what I will be able to play. But the cool part about it is I can aspire to get there eventually. Again, though, if Enda's watching this, it would be great if you added even just a short little video at the beginning so you can pick up your instrument before you have to press play, because watch how quick when I press play this kicks in. It's immediate. So there's just no way you can do that if I want to follow along with the video. Not a problem for now because I won't be playing that amazing. Anyways, so that's how the Soundslice works. Particularly cool. So this was what was available to me as a free tune, and if I go back to my Soundslice home, you can see within my lessons this is one of my lessons, and it stays in there now. So I'm assuming that if you were to sign up, you would be able to add more lessons and they would be in there. So let's go figure that part out. Okay, so now that we've got the membership sorted, you can see our screen looks different here. We've got a bit of a welcome, explains about, it's just a nice little welcome note. And explains what membership you've got and upgrades and whatever else. Okay, so we go back to home. We can see the different posts. We can see that a number of them no longer have a lock code on them. And there's a link to the Soundslice course. There's also, if we go back to the learning paths, and now we were to try to access one of these lessons. So let's just try the Harvest Home. And now we get the link to the Soundslice, enter the course code. And now I'm going to find out, is this you get 2 of these codes per month? Is that how they figure out the level? And where I'm getting this from, by the way, is if you go to the very beginning, and there's this tune list, and you get the full tune list, and there's the link to the Patreon post about it, if it has a YouTube video to accompany it or not. It's a good thing that he has this separate tune list, and it's sortable by some things, because the whole Patreon format of person just doing posts and you get access to those posts, it makes it really hard to, like, if you wanted to find anything on something in particular, I don't find that overly helpful. The Patreon format is really not great. But let's try this Harvest Home. We're going to try the link, try the code, see what happens. Okay, so we get to the Soundslice, we get a thing to enter the course code, enter it in, join the course. Okay, so now we have access to the Harvest Home, simple version, picking patterns, and all the regular stuff that we got in the other one I showed you. If we go back to lessons, it's now added to my list of lessons. Cool. So let's find out what happens if we add another one. Okay, so we're going to go back to the learning paths and we're going to pick up another one. So the Blackbird, and if I go access this lesson. Okay, so tune of the month number 2, the Blackbird hornpipe. Same deal, we'll copy the code. Okay, and we've joined the course, and we can see we've got simple ornamentation advanced. And it's now within my pack of lessons. Okay, so let's go back to the learning paths again, and this time we're going to pick a technique path, which is cool that they have some of these. How to play the high B note at fret 7. So this is something that I'm sure a lot of beginners struggle with. I know I do. Okay, so we're going to copy the Soundslice course code again, go to the link. Okay, and that seems to have added that as a lesson for us. If I go back to my lessons, it's in there. So now I have 3 lessons added within 1 month. I would assume by the looks of it, I can just keep adding as many lessons as I want. Yeah, so I think this is maybe not the most secure setup that he's got going on here. I'm not sure I get entirely what the gate is that keeps you from getting more lessons than you're supposed to, or if it's just meant that by supporting the Patreon that he will then commit to do a couple new lessons each month. I'd really love to hear from Enda as to how it works. Now that I'm part of that community, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what that brings, and it's nice to be able to know that by supporting the Patreon that I'm also helping him to provide lessons for everybody on YouTube, but then also these sound slices, which look like it's probably a lot of work to go through and create them all. So yeah, it probably relies a bit on just the honesty of people and good, people being decent human beings and continuing to support his channel. And I definitely think that while I'm using these, I will continue to support that Patreon. And so hopefully that answers a little bit for people what it means when it says 2 transcribed tunes per month. It's not a complete answer, but basically you get access to all of the courses he's created on Soundslice. I'm going to assume that, but if I canceled my Patreon at the end of the month, these would disappear. Not positive, but that seems reasonable. Anyways, what we're going to do now is we are going to go to the Banish Misfortune lesson. We're going to do our best to learn a version of it, and then we'll turn around and record that for you. that's as far as we're gonna make it on that one. Not gonna work.